people in Sheffield have actually, typical of the attitude, have complained that it doesn't show the modern Sheffield. They would like it to be known that cappuccino is available in their place. And it's a very modern place.
And the markets no longer exist now as well, Castle Market. They've moved and they're all gone up market.
Yeah, it's a shame that place that a lot of the people found, it's been closed down. So, I know it's terrible. That's a really strange thing that you here in Los Angeles should count. But thank you.
I wanted to ask you about Rare and Racy Records. Can you tell the story about the record store?
Oh yeah, there's a record shop featured in the film, and that's been there forever. I remember that as a kid. That's an interesting place because that's the first place I ever experienced free jazz. It's the guy who owns this shop, and he listens to free jazz all day, every day. As a kid, that fascinated me because you would go in and there'd just be this very scary noise, like, and I'd never heard anything like that before in my life, you know. And the fact that these guys were just like sat there, like having a smoke, it really didn't seem to bother you. And it's still open now. Still listening to it. Still doesn't seem to have had any effect on it. So I have to take my hat off to them. The jazz guy, yeah. Oh, the nice guy, yeah. He's a very nice guy.
The knife guy. The knife guy.
Oh, the knife guy, sorry. Hearing's going a bit, you know, Lord. Too much loud music, you know. The knife guy, yes. He's the last surviving person who does that, who works. They call them little masters. And he's the last guy who's still making those. I believe he's going to retire this year. And then that kind of tradition will have gone.
Successor.
I don't think nobody's prepared to devote their life to knives in the way that he is. I mean, he seemed to imply he would be taking knife making into the next existence. And I don't know whether you can find people with that kind of dedication anymore.
Tell everybody, Florian, how you did manage to convince so many people to open up to you. Because here you are, you're here in Sheffield, you have a camera, they don't know who you are. But you got so many people that just open up to you and tell you what they really thought about Pulp, about Jarvis, about the city. What was your technique?
I used to be a wedding photographer. I don't know if that helped.
Just ask nicely.
No. My last wedding I ever did, I was in the church, and it was a really expensive wedding without much love, just lots of money. And everyone was stressed, and when the bride and groom kissed each other, there wasn't any kind of feelings. So I was up the front with my camera, and I just said, "Oh, could you do that? Could you do that one more time, please?" And everyone in the church laughed because it was like the wedding photographer getting another snap. And then they again gave the most pathetic kiss in the world. And then I said, "Oh, could you do it with a little bit more love?" And then it was like a bomb had dropped in the church, and I was like, "Oh my god." And that was my last wedding. I never did weddings anymore. But one of the things when you photograph weddings, and what was good about my photos was that people were always relaxed and having a good time. And I guess subconsciously learned how to disarm people by being a bit of, I don't know, by being a bit of a fool behind the camera, or not having big flash expensive gear that scares people, or that kind of thing. But I don't know. I've got a bit of a like Roberto Benigni smile. Ice cream. I don't know. Just people don't get too nervous around me when I'm filming.
Is that what cracked the ice with Jarvis to make you pair together to do the movie?
But what about, you should tell the story about you were a paparazzi, you pretended to be a paparazzi for a while, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I've tried. I've had a go at. Okay, I was at a Cannes Film Festival when the Shrek 2 premiere was on, and I got out of the market, and I ended up being at the back of the Grand Palais Theatre, where all the celebrities who were dodging the red carpet were coming out. And there was a whole lot of paparazzi photographers, and I had my wedding photography camera on me, so I looked a bit professional. And because I'm so tall, and I managed to get in front of all the other paparazzi, and then like Angelina Jolie and Mike Myers, and they're all coming out, and I happened to be right in front of everyone. And then Cameron Diaz came, and my flash wouldn't work, so that I couldn't take any photos. So I was in front of her face for ages. Then I finally got a shot, and then I put my hand on her bare back and helped her into her limo, and could have got arrested. And then the next day, all the paparazzis in Cannes, when they saw me, they're like, "Oh, did you get so and so?" And when I got back to Germany, I was watching Oprah Winfrey interview Cameron Diaz. And Oprah said to Cameron, what's the worst thing in your life? What do you really hate, Cameron? And she said, it's those paparazzi photographers, especially the really tall ones. Yeah. So I made an impression. That's the story.
That's what you first said to him when you met him?
No. No, but Jarvis is helping me with my stand-up routine.
But I think that's a good thing about your approach, is that as you can, the film that Florian showed me before we worked on this was his previous film called Love Story, which is your mum's in. But I liked the way that he was in the film. I think that's the thing of it's not a dispassionate use of the camera. As those two previous stories kind of explained in a way, it's like...
It was a love story. I met a Russian girl on the streets of New York, Marsha, and we decided to film our romance, and because I didn't have a script, I just asked people on the streets while I was recording in New York for love advice and for ideas for what could happen next in the story. And then Marsha and I acted out those ideas, and then the whole love story was kind of like a pick-a-path book. It was dictated by what people came up with on the streets. But what happened was that people on the streets, they kind of stole the show, or they were like the really beautiful thing about the film, and just the things they gave, like just meeting them on camera for the first time, and they were just really generous and just wild, crazy New Yorker imaginations, and yeah, it was kind of about the people, and that's why I thought because Pulp are really into people, curious about people, and kind of, you know, do things their own special way. I don't know, I just kind of thought they might get into this film, and that's why I sent them an invitation to see it.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask about Josephine, because she seems like an atypical Pulp fan, but a Pulp fan nonetheless. She's the older lady who said she got into Blur and then into Pulp.
She likes music that makes you think.
Yeah.
Can I tell? Oh, no.
Well, I don't know. What? No, don't say anything rude. Well, the thing is, I never met any of these people until... I never met the people until the premiere of the film in Sheffield. So that was a kind of a weird thing to... I was slightly starstruck when I met Josephine. I still remember what she was wearing.
Dress from the 50s.
She had like a peach-coloured twin set thing on with some quite jazzy kind of bits. And I don't know, it's as I say, I'd not lived in Sheffield for a long time, so I was very, when I first saw a kind of rough cut of the film, I was quite kind of very pleasantly surprised by the people that Florian had found, you know. And that although I've been slightly disparaging towards the city so far in this Q&A session, I'm now going to get sentimental and say that, you know, it has got a special place in my heart, and so therefore the fact that it's still, there's a spirit to the place. It's different to other places in the UK. I guess you will have heard of Manchester.
All right, yeah, how's it going? Yeah, all right, yeah.
So that's Manchester's, you know, loads of great music's come from Manchester, but the people there tend to be a bit more abrasive and kind of a bit...
Yeah, what about it, yeah?
And Liverpool, come on, yeah. They're a bit more kind of very voluble talk and stuff. Again, quite, in a way, full of themselves, or whatever. Well, I'm just saying, I have friends, and I'm going to just end up being, I'm not going to be allowed back in the country, am I? But I'm trying to say that Sheffield has a slightly more taciturn kind of feeling to it, a little, not quite as forthcoming. I find that charming in a way, and also that made me quite impressed that Florian went there and somehow managed to get these people to be quite open about themselves and to, you know, say quite heartfelt things, because that was one of the reasons I left, because you could never get anybody to say anything. It was like, people are quite closed in. So for me, that's one of the joys of the film, is that it shows me that Sheffield, that attitude and that character is still kind of surviving.
Did that? Yes.